Hi, I'm Nurbaiti Hamdan. Here with me is Tan Sri Dr. Yahya Awang. We'll be talking about the privatization of IJN, the National Heart Institute. Okay, so Tan Sri, could you explain to us the history of the National Heart Institute, IJN?
Yeah, IJN was planned in 1990 following the successful operation on Tun Dr. Mahathir in General Hospital then. And we planned IJN, and the idea of IJN was that it was to be a corporatized entity, and its aim was to be a premier academic and professional institute. It has done very well as a academic institute. It has provided quality service to all sectors of the public, both the rich and the poor, and it continues to strive to be one of the best heart institutes in this region, and it should be maintained that way. So basically it was corporatized so that we could provide a reasonable remuneration for the doctors and paramedics who worked in the institute. It is meant to be a premier academic and professional institute, but it was never meant to be a commercial entity where bottom line is all important.
So what are your thoughts on the plan? Although it has been deferred, but the plan.
Well, personally, I think it should never be privatized because it's not a commercial entity. It is an institution of academic and professional. It's a professional institution. It should remain, as I mentioned, a corporatized body, providing excellent service to all sectors of society. It has to be a center that provides quality service, center for research, a center for training. And one of the aims of the IJN initially was that IJN was to help the government train people and establish heart units throughout the country. So that by 2020, we should actually have government units in all the states, with IJN being the tertiary center, doing complex things, doing complex surgery, research and training. I think I want to stress that IJN should work with the government in training personnel so that other units can be built in other states in Malaysia. So I was a bit taken aback when I heard that it was going to be privatized. I think that would go against the original vision of IJN. As an institute, it has done very well. It is striving to be a premier institute. It provides quality service, and I think it should remain that way. It is not about bottom line, but it's about service quality.
You mentioned just now that one of the initial objective of IJN is to help establish heart units in the country. How has that been progressing?
Well, I think it's still a long way to go. IJN must help train government personnel because the government is now striving to have heart units in all the states in this country, eventually, by 2020.
Do we have heart units in?
Currently, we have in Penang, in Johor Bahru, in Sarawak, and in Serdang. But they are not well staffed as yet. So I think IJN should train people to help government build up these units.
Tun Mahathir himself has spoken against the privatization as well, and he seldom object privatization. So as his doctor back then, I'm sure you understand his reasoning behind that.
Yeah, I understand. I've read what he has written in the blog, and I thoroughly agree with him. IJN is one institution which should not be privatized. It should remain a corporatized entity, doing the good job that it's doing now, and helping the government build up other units in this country. Basically, it was not meant to be a commercial entity.
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
It was meant to be a premier academic and professional institute. That's why I was also disappointed when I was told that my former colleagues, all the doctors in IJN, were not even informed of the plan of this privatization plan. They were surprised as much as I was. And honestly, as one of the pioneers of the institute, I was disappointed when I heard that it might be privatized.
What do you think about the deferment? It has not been concluded that there will not be any privatization. It's just a deferment by the government. So what do you think?
Well, the government is doing a proper study, but I hope all the facts will be laid out on the table and a proper decision made. And I would like to stress that the professional staff must be included in the decision process.
Professional staff must be included
in the decision process.
All right.
Their feedback is important because they are the primary service provider. When I heard about this privatization, my colleagues in IJN before told me that they also were not informed about this privatization. It came as a big surprise to them. Why? I'm still not sure.
Do you question the motive behind the
Yes.
plan to privatize?
Yes, I question the motive. Why do you want to privatize it? It's doing well as a corporatized body. It generates its own income. There's no need to privatize IJN. It's doing very well as it is. And I think in terms of national pride, in terms of academic excellence, in terms of training, in terms of research, it should remain a corporatized body under the government. It should continue to help the government provide service and also training so that other government's units will be set up to meet our objective in developing the specialty of cardiology and cardiothoracic surgery with that vision of 2020 where we have cardiac units throughout the country.
The Deputy Prime Minister also has spoken that they are thinking about the privatization with conditions. They might have set up conditions to whether to agree or not. So if the privatization does take place with the conditions, with acceptable conditions, would you agree to that? Or
well, I think it's a bit premature for me to say on that because I think if all the facts are laid out, if all the personnel involved views are taken into account, I personally think that at the end of the day, the right decision would be not to privatize it.
Do you have any other input that you would want to share with us, Tan Sri?
I think that input is that I strongly support my former colleagues in IJN in their view that it should not be privatized. It should remain a government entity, a corporatized government entity. But IJN has a very important role to play. Not only providing service to the poor, it has to provide training so that government objective of setting up units in all parts of the country is met.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Tan Sri, for your time.
Okay. Thank you.